Captain Korean, the Galactic Navy officer, becomes an adventurer. Volume 1 review. Presently, One Piece books impressed with the release Volume 1 also talking rhetoric, but with the continue to please with their new debut. Captain Korean, the Galactic Navy officer, becomes an adventurer. Let's take a look. This light novel adaptation is set in the distant future. It follows Captain Alan Courier, who pilots an Imperial spaceship and is hunting for the home planet of the bugs, alien creatures that threaten the future of humanity. Unfortunately, Alan's ship is attacked and is forced to evacuate as a sole survivor of the vessel. Alan crash lands on an unknown planet, which luckily has air he can breathe and life forms he can eat. A few days into his life on this new planet, he encounters a group of humans being attacked by wild monsters. But by the time he gets close enough to intervene, all but one has died from their injuries. The woman still alive has lost an arm and a leg, but thanks to some of the Alan's technology, he manages to save her life and her limbs will even regrow in time. Far from home and with no chance of being rescued, Alan has no choice but to adjust to life and this new planet, while he's used to a high-tech world. He seems humans really more on swords and magic. He quickly discovers that he can understand the language either, putting him on the back foot when it comes to communicating with the woman he saved. She understands at least that he helped her and is willing to travel with him to keep herself safe from further attacks. Plus, as a way of thanking him, she can help Alan learn a little of the language and maybe even some magic. He had to say that, interesting as the premise of Captain Courier is, the execution is boring. Now, some of this may be the original source material, but I think a significant portion of the problems comes from this adaptation. The first chapter rushes you through the setup of the world, filling each page with a large amount of information to the point where it is impossible to retain it all. This is not helped by the fact the series with info dump whenever possible about important things that definitely could have been explored more slowly and carefully as opposed to it all being upfront. Nowadays is helped by the fact that the manga doesn't follow well. Quite often I found myself wondering if I miss a page and having a flip back. I even went as far as making sure my file was correct because some of the jumps page to page felt like unnatural. So between these and the amount of jargon being shown at you, this manga is difficult to engage with the point where it's quite boring. With so much packing, it's impossible to get to know or connect with Alan, who ends up coming off as a very blunt protagonist because of it. Also, I did appreciate that despite all the technology he has at his disposal, he readily communicates with people on this planet. Most protagonists in this situation are given a magic spell or something similar to instantly translate everything, so seeing Alan struggle is at least novel for the genre. Unfortunately, the issue with this series is also stretched to the artwork by mangaka Tomamasa Takuma. There's often not much room for their art due to pages being overwhelmed with dialogue bubbles. But even when there is room, the characters are quite flat and lacking in detail. They're also frequently very off-model. Again, they just make it hard care about Captain Korean. Captain Korean Volume 1 comes to the West thanks to One Piece books and has been translated by Laura Egan. The translation reads well with little to complain about. As usual for a One Piece release, there are a few instances of dialogue not fitting in speech bubbles, despite there being room if they just move it across a little bit. And the font choice for this release can be difficult to read in bubbles. With a lot of text in, it's disappointing, particularly given how poor the content of this first volume was. It did need localization problems on top of it. What is also the shame is that at the time of writing, One Piece only appears to have the license to have the Korean manga, and not the light novel, so we can even easily check if some of these problems, like info dumps, are limited to the adaptation or not. The series is ongoing in Japan with 5 volumes in One Piece and Volume 2 of the English release scheduled for March, with Volume 3 in July. Overall, it's hard to describe Captain Korean Volume 1 as anything other than a disappointment. Usually, there's at least something positive to be said about a given volume of manga, but the flaws of this one outweigh anything else. Sadly, this is one to avoid. It's 3 out of 10.